Hello Flosstube, this is Lori of Mischievous Stitches. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with you again this weekend to share with you my progress on my current focus pieces, to share with you a little surprise I got in the mail this week, a framed by me piece, and no stash. So this week, once again, I continue to work on a few focus pieces that I have, and there are a couple of new starts in there, but as well as things that I have started in previous years that I'm wanting to focus on to finish. So one day this week I worked on Margaret Cotton. This is by Lottie Da. It's a 3-part mystery sampler, and I started it back in 2018, and it is stitched on a piece of 40 count Week Style Works Cocoa linen. And this is my progress this week. So I finished out one of the flowers, which I think was this one. I finished up the second row and started on the third. And I also did a couple of the, I don't know that I would call them flowers, because the second row is actually done in a dark brown, and then it's not necessarily like a flower vine because the flowers themselves are done in a brown. But I finished that up, started row 3, and took the border down one more length of thread. So this is my progress on it. I'm enjoying this one. Just spending one night on a piece doesn't necessarily give it a lot of progress, but with it being a focus piece, as I just spent a night on it here and there, as I'm focusing on larger things or things that are closer to completed, when I get to this piece, I may be where I am with those larger pieces by then. So it's all about focusing and getting down my whips. And like I said, that one was started in 2018. I also worked on Cooper by Barrick Designs. Let me get that pattern cover. This is it, and I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Wren Newcastle linen with the called for DMC colors. And I've still got a lot of work on him. He is on 40 count. He's kind of small, but when you consider, like, you look at his breast, which is where I am now, there's a lot of stitching in that breast. And then I was stitching along on this with Jen of Jen's Stitching Niche, and she has now finished hers, and he is very handsome. But she was sharing that as you stitch the tail feathers of this parrot, that you do stitch it and then you go back over it with long stitches to add the effect of feathers. So even though that doesn't look like a big area, considering you're working in it twice, stitches over stitches, it's going to take a little longer than I first anticipated. But once again, it is just a goal to get down on these whips. So this is another whip from 2018. And so this week I came down, I finished out this row of letters, this row, and then started on this row over here and over here, because the letters actually run behind the parrot, as you can notice, like here with the N and then the Q here. And so I finished out his neck, which is the blue and black checked here, and I dropped down into his breast, and I have worked down with those light yellowish color feathers so that I can just fill in. So as I'm going back with that I think it's like a dark gray, yeah, it's a dark gray. As I'm going down with that dark gray, I don't have to worry about leaving spaces for those feathers. I just stitch over them, or stitch around them, I should say. So I'm making good progress on him. I spent a couple of nights on him. And then I spent a couple of nights when I left you on Monday, because I did not film on Sunday. I filmed Monday this past week. I was working on Southern Land by Al Forrest Embroidery. I'm really enjoying this one. This week it was a little more difficult to put this one down. But I wanted to take the opportunity this week to work on the Lottie Da piece, and I had to make up a day with Cooper. I have kind of committed myself to working on Friday on that one, on Friendship Friday, and I had missed last Friday. So I had to work on him twice, 2 days this week, which I did. So I put the Al Forrest embroidery piece down. But here I am with this one. I'm using the called for DMC threads on 32 count Belfast linen. And I'm very close to a page 1 finish. So the page ends here, so I've worked over into the second page, but there are a new motif that starts on the page break in this dark blue. So my focus when I pick this up this week is to work down into this next page. And once that is complete, that motif that's overrunning the 2 pages, I'm going to pick up and move over, because I'm looking forward to getting to the center motif. You can see it kind of taking shape there in the middle now. I'm looking forward to working on that one, but this piece only has 4 pieces, and several of you have joined in with Shiloh of X Stitch MD and myself as we stitched this piece. She inspired me, and there's been several other stitchers that have been inspired to stitch this one. I love to get in on Instagram and see everyone's progress. Several of you are much further than I am. And then this morning I saw one of my local stitchers, which is Stephanie from Stitching It, which I will link her below. She is like halfway on it now. It looks amazing. She says she's been working on it like 2 weeks, but she is just so involved in it, enjoying it so much that she's about halfway done, and seeing hers was just amazing. So I will link her below so you can go take a look at her progress. So this week I also, since I finished the fall last week, and I took the fall to the framer, and I couldn't really find a frame that I liked. So what I ended up doing was having them add I got a dark colored wood that kind of looks like burl wood, and I had a fillet. Instead of inside the frame with the mat and all that, I had the fillet put around the edge of the frame, and it looks like weathered barn wood. So to me, it added a wonderful element to the frame and made it more appealing to me. So I can't wait to get that back so that I can share it with all of you. I got so many wonderful comments about the fall. It's an amazing piece, and all I have to say is I'm an enabler. If you're here to find someone that's going to say, oh, you don't need to start another piece, don't start it, I'm not the one. So all I'm going to say is, for all of those who are on the fence about starting the fall, just do it. Start all the pieces. It's an amazing piece, and it's not something you're going to stitch overnight. So go ahead and start it, and just put it in with your rotation. Put it in your basket that you pull from beside your chair. Just start all the things. So in the place of the fall this week, I decided to pick up another one of my whips, and this one is from last year, and this is Susan Rambo. And actually, I didn't take her cover picture out either. This is Susan Rambo. I started this one at the beginning of last year. Was it last year? No, I started it in 2018, but I started focusing on it at the beginning of last year. But I bought this on a trip with a few of my friends, Donna of D Squared and Lorraine from Rags to Stitches USA. We were on a class trip, and we took a side trip up to Cross Stitching Country Crafts in Johnston City, Tennessee. And they had the original of this piece hanging there in the store. Well, it was in a back room, so out of the sunlight. The original was stitched in wools. Of course, it was aged, it was darker. The linen was more of a, I don't know, like a snakely, like wheat dye work snakely. It was a different color than, of course, the reproductions are more vibrant because they're brand new threads, they're brand new linen. So they lack that aged look. I fell in love with it. I bought it. I started it for Mania that year. And of course, with Mania things, you start so many, you can't stitch them all at one time. So I picked it back up at the beginning of last year, and I got the first row. There are 5 rows of, I think, 3 pages. And I got the first row done. So I picked it up last weekend to replace my large piece, which was the fall. And this is where I started working. I put it on one of my scroll frames. She's a large girl because my husband purchased this one for me. And on my last video, I was sharing that it was stitched on 32 count. It's not, it's 28. She's gonna be a whopper when she's done. But you know what? This one is going to be a family memento because I will not be placing Susan Rambo's family information in this. I will be placing mine. My ideas kind of ebb and flow as I'm stitching this. I'm going to stitch all the what I would consider the stationary pieces, which means everything but the names, as my ideas start to form of how I want to do this. What I mean by that is, even yesterday I'm watching Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea Samplers. So if you don't watch her Flosstube, you really should. She's just a wealth of information where it comes to samplers, and I love the fact that she researches the history, the young girl who stitches the samplers. And on this particular piece that she was talking about yesterday, the young lady, it was a Scottish sampler, and she had stitched some of the initials from her relatives into the sampler in black. And Nicola was saying that that meant that the initials of the person they were deceased. And I will have some of those type names in here. And I don't know that I would necessarily use black, but maybe a dark gray to symbolize the same thing. But that was just a side note to say, I want to share with you Susan Rambo. And I have unfortunately scrolled it up. So what I mainly focused on, let me take this off. I forgot that I had rolled it up last night after I finished. I worked on this centerpiece, and this is the piece here that holds Susan's name. So I had just one of the either top or right left-hand border and part of the flower above or between those two when I started with it yesterday, which is where I left off last year. So this evening I'm going to continue to work on this piece, and I'm going to pull over to this side and work in here. There's a small floral potted motif right here. And then there's 2 more flowers, and then that will be the completion of the second row. So it will not put me quite at half. I would say more of a third of the piece will be completed. I don't normally use scroll rods. I bought these last year on a whim, because I didn't have, the only pair of scroll rods I had were pair that I bought when I was a teenager from Walmart when I was just a beginner stitcher, and I just don't care for them. They're very crudely made. They served the purpose at that time, but the rods themselves had a slit down the center, and then you slid your fabric across the top or between that slit in the rod. What I meant crudely made, they just don't serve the purpose for me. So I picked up these off of Amazon. It was a pack that come in a bundle of three different sizes. This is the longest one. And I've seen several stitchers that do stitch with these to use, they're like suspender clips. I want to get a couple of pair of those so that I can pull it. It's taut in the center, as you can see. Let me run my finger, see my finger go across. It is taut, but it's nothing like those Millennium frames, so it's not an even stretch. And so I think if I had those to pull it to the side, it'll be a little more even. But anyway, it's serving my purpose well. And so I'm going to continue to work on this tonight and probably tomorrow night, and I will switch to one of my other pieces during the week, and then probably pick this up every weekend, more than likely, and through the finish of it. So this is my current BAP. I also, last video, showed you where I had crafted and resurfaced a frame I had purchased from Hobby Lobby for my most recent red sampler finish of Birds and Berries by JBW Designs. And this is it. I did not put the glass back in, and I haven't even finished it on the back. What I've done is just I've pinned it to the foam core board, and I've just got it sitting in here. And there was a reason for that, because I got a lot of questions. I had posted a picture on Instagram Friday or Saturday showing that I was pinning the piece, and someone asked me about the pins. And I just used the some dressmaker pins. They come in a little pack of 350 pins at Hobby Lobby for like $3.49. And I had watched a video from Teresa Kitten Stitcher where she was sitting and chatting with all of us, and she was pinning a few pieces. And so I did not completely frame it because I wanted everyone to see. And I'm still learning with this. So what I ended up doing when I started was trying to find, number one, had a small ruler here, making sure that the piece was centered on the board well. And then my next step was making sure that I kept the edges straight. And it seems like it would be relatively easy, but it's not. So I struggled on and off the entire time, because as you pull one way, you're distorting in the opposite way. So it took me, and let's just say I can be a perfectionist at sometimes, and I think that's part of my issue. And it's not really an issue. I don't know why I said issue. That is why it took me a little longer, because I would only insert the pins halfway, like maybe this far, because I would need to remove them and re-stretch and re-pull. But with something like this that I can find a standard frame for, I don't see the expense of having a framer do it. All of you can do this. The foam core board, you can get a large piece. I don't know the dimensions on it, about the size of a sheet of poster board. Is about the same size of piece that you can purchase a piece of foam core for, and you can cut them to size of what you need. So I had already cut the foam core board, and then I pinned it Friday. And so what I'll do now is use double-sided tape to pull this around to the back, paying close attention to my corners, folding those down and getting that finished. Then I'll place it back into the frame after I get that done. And then I will put the backing that comes with it, because you have, I think these are these called darts, where the little darts that help to hold the backing on it. So I will put on the back, I will close the darts over it to hold it securely. And then I have some of the brown paper that I will cover the edges of this frame with the double-sided tape. Remove the backing of that, lay that brown paper over the back of that seals it up, and that's it. It's framed. I'm sure there's much better ways. You may have a better way, but this is the way that works best for me. Lacing doesn't come as easy for me. I've used lacing several times with maybe small circular ornaments or pin cushions, and that's fine for those. But as far as this particular piece, framing and putting in here, I just love the foam core board and pinning with the pins. So there's this, and this is how it's going to look. So by the next video, it's going to be complete and probably hanging on the walls. The walls, not on multiple walls, a wall. There's that. And I wanted to talk with you about something that's just a tad bit serious. I had a couple of negative comments on my last video to do with ads. I had heard actually two different cross stitchers, floss tubers this week, discuss ads being added to their videos. I just like they confirmed, I'm confirming with you, I did not do that. It is something that YouTube is now doing. I did try to research to see why they're doing it. I can't find it, but I normally filmed directly from my my cell phone. I use it as a camera to video, and then I upload it straight from my phone. So when I got those negative comments, and when I say negative, corrective criticism doesn't bother me at all. But when it's just being negative for the fact of being negative, you're making an assumption that we are doing this, and like I said, we're not. So I wanted to make sure everyone knows that the first person that I remember mentioning the ads being added was Country Stitchers, and it's been a couple of weeks ago. And then this past week, they showed up on mine. So is it something that's eventually going to roll in a wave onto other Flosstubers channels? I would think so. I don't know how YouTube works. I'm not a programmer. I'm just a Flosstuber that enjoys sharing my work. But just keep that in mind when you're watching other Flosstubers, that a lot of us do monetize, and that just means that as you view the ads, we do make a few pennies with it. And when I say pennies, it is pennies. It's less than a penny for each view of an ad, so it's not that much. But many of us do have it monetized, but will have it where the ads come at the beginning or the end of the videos, and they're skippable, meaning if you don't want to watch them, you just click the skip button. You don't watch them, it gets right to the Flosstube. Just know that now they are placing them in there. So those of us who are using our cell phones to actually film, those videos you have to go into your laptop, you have to go into your YouTube account, and you actually have to go in and remove each individual ad that they've added. Last week, they had an ad on my video every 3 to 4 minutes in a 22-minute, 23-minute video. So just keep that in mind. We all love to share with you, we Flosstubers. We enjoy the comments. We love that you're watching, that you're sharing with us. Just keep that in mind when you run across another video that has those ads. I would guarantee you 99.5% of the time it is not intentional. And that little bit of maybe constructive criticism or just a little heads up, letting them know that the ads are there, is going to be great. Because if I rewatch my video last week like I normally do to make sure there's no fuzzy parts as it's uploaded, the ads aren't there for me to see. So I had no idea they were there. I had to go looking for what the problem was. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next thing, September Sampler Soiree. This has been hosted for a couple of years now by Senorita Stitches on Instagram. And I had in mind when it come up, at first I wanted to start a new sampler, but Southern Land was my newest starts. Everything else that I have on the go right now are whips. So I didn't want to make another start while I had Southern Land going. So I picked up an older whip that I had hosted as a stitch along with Emily of Eclectic Possessions 2 or 3 years ago. And this is Theron Traditions Needles and Pins. And I know that I probably haven't picked this up since 2018. So I want to share with you where I am at, because for the start of the September Sampler Soiree, I'm going to pick this one back up. So it looks like I've got maybe a third done. And this is like a whole pattern right here, the animals in the field. Let me show you again. So the top portion is finished, and I had begun the second portion with the house just above the yard. And this is 36 count. I think that says Vintage Luna. I love that fabric color though. Isn't that beautiful? It's not showing up. Let me show the whole thing. See if that helps. No, it's a little more yellowish, like a mustardy yellow than what it's showing here. So I'm gonna iron this up because it really needs a good hot iron, and have it ready for the September sampler soiree, and this will be my focus piece during that time. So that way I'm not making a new start. I'm still working on whips. But making plans for September already has me thinking about my 2021 plans. I'm going to continue what I'm doing right now, which is focusing on the whips for through the end of this year. But it has me thinking of what my plans will be for 2021. What else do I have? I got a gift in the mail today that I was asked not to open till my video. So let me grab it. I just want you, let me do this. I just want you to see my husband open this. And this is what was on the counter when I got it. So I had someone that reached out to me and said, hey, did you get a package? Yeah. She said, well, my name was in it. And I didn't know it because I didn't look at the envelope. Kindred Stitcher had something to do with this. And was it Betty? It was sent from an Indiana address, and it said, the giver of this gift would love to have you video yourself as you read and unwrap this surprise. So look at this. It's been about to kill me not to open this all week. Kind of feels like a book, maybe. Maybe. And I kind of hate to even open it. It's packaged so pretty. So let's go. Let's make it easy. It has a little card on the front. I don't like carrying my cards up. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Hold on. You have a friend, a beautiful stitcher, that has purchased this gift especially for you, a surprise. Something that may be on your stitchy wish list. She also has this item. In fact, she purchased from me a while back. I'm thinking of you both might accomplish this at the same time, perhaps a Sal. She certainly is a friend to cherish. As this sticker on the front of the envelope states, we all belong to the best group of like-minded friends, the Cross Stitch Nation. How cool is that? Thank you so much. Okay, here goes the item. So it's not a book. It must be a pattern. It's double wrapped, I guess, to keep me from peeking through the paper. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's show the front of the book, and then I'm going to show you the picture. Blue Ribbon Sampler by Olwen Horwood. Okay. Oh my goodness. Check that out. Wow. And then look at the needle weaving there in the side of this piece. Can you see that? I believe this was shown on her video some time ago, and I commented on this. I want to look for another picture. Look at that. There's a close-up of those needle weaving areas, which I've only done once, and it's kind of intimidating. And then you've got some pulled work here. Wasn't I just talking about my plans for next year? Look at that. Of Girl, thank you so much. And since a stitch along was mentioned, yes, I'm up for that. Next year, 2021 start, how about that? Because next year is going to be so much better than this year. Keeping all my fingers, my toes, and my stitches crossed on that one. Oh, once again, thank you. I appreciate this so very much. Wow. One other thing, and then I'm going to cut you loose. And thank y'all for joining me today. But I ordered this from, actually, it didn't, it's all about the buttons, and it's just a little measuring tape. But this lady has, I'm going to show you her page, her card. And since we're going back out into space again, she has all these little measuring tapes, retractable measuring tapes that she adds buttons to, and she uses different fabrics and ribbons to do that. And they're very well made. So no two are the same. And I want to show you which one I got because I'm so excited that we're going back into space. And you can see the little button there right here, little star. That I ordered this one, and then to the pull, there's a little moon. And once again, here is the card, and I found her on Etsy, and come to find out this is a South Carolina crafter. So if you like this, which I do, I'm always having to measure when I'm framing, or measure when I am starting a new project, my border. So you can see the little raised portion for the button to retract it back in. There you go. So that's my little bit of haul this week, my only little piece of haul. Thank you so much for stopping by and visiting with me today. I really appreciate you being here. I'll do my best to keep those ads out of there before this thing is posted. And this week I will continue to work on my whips with a focus on Susan Rambo. So until next time, hugs and stitches. Stay healthy, stay safe, and cross all the stitches. See you soon. Bye-bye.